Okay. Are you or were you married, and did you have a family? Describe the family.
My family?
Yes.
Yes, I'm married, and I have a good family. I have a large exponential growth of grandchildren.
Okay. When and where were you born?
Arroyo Grande, actually the birthplace was French Hospital, San Luis Obispo, 1951.
1951. Please elaborate on your living space in the Arroyo Grande Village.
It's now a museum. My living space was a 100-year-old house that's now the museum. It was more than adequate, and we had a fun yard to play and grow up in.
Are you the first generation to be born in the U.S.? If not, do you know who was?
My family on both sides goes back to the East Coast many generations. I don't have that in the back of my head, but like 1, 2, 3, 4 plus generations.
Okay. What do you remember about November 22nd, 1963, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated? Many people have said hope in America died a little that day. Do you agree? And how did America change?
All of America died. All of America wept. All of America knows where they were, what they were doing that day. Because it was the biggest thing that happened in my first part of growing up. I was in grammar school at Orchard Street School. I was at recess in the early part of the day when the news came about, and everybody we're just little kids, but we all knew this was serious. And we watched it all unfold on TV as the crime scene went to a new president being sworn in on an airplane, to a funeral and the procession and whatnot to the Arlington Cemetery. It was a week or so long of events that I'll never forget.
How about the Vietnam War? Do you think America had lost trust in the federal government by the end of the war? And if so, has that trust ever been won back?
America lost trust during the war. It was a chess game, politician chess game, and the players were the American men.
And women?
I don't know about women, but it was American men. They took American men out of the workforce at a time when America wasn't really doing much. So politicians they kind of like wanted to eliminate a lot of American men that worked, and they did. And there was nothing lost, nothing gained, so to speak.
How do you think the world's perception of the United States changed on July 20th, 1969, when we put the first man on the moon?
Repeat that first part.
How do you think the world's perception of the United States changed?
Tremendously. We were first. We led the way, and we showed the world something that it had not seen before, and that was started by John F. Kennedy, who you earlier asked about. There's no comparison. It's something that'll go down in history. That's very big. Unfortunately, America forgot that in 2014, and they threw it to the toilet.
Why do you say that?
This country right now, today, is de-energizing itself. We're not producing, we're not competing, and we can't hold on for all the next bad news from this administration. It's overwhelming.
How do you think the world looked at the U.S. following Nixon's resignation on August 8, 1974, in response to the Watergate scandal?
The world didn't look at the U.S., but the U.S. looked at President Nixon and itself. It was an in-house situation.
In what way do you think our nation changed on November 9th, 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down, effectively ending the Cold War?
The first part of that question again?
In what way do you think our nation changed?
That was a very positive time, an unbelievable positive time, that strength through words was used by a man that could enforce it. I'm talking about Ronald Reagan. And many men can use that same force today. We just don't have a man that can do it. And we've lost that force. But I'm waiting to see it come back.
What do you remember about September 11th, 2001, when the country experienced the terrorist attacks on the Pentagon and World Trade Centers? How was America changed by this?
We were humbled. It was a reawakening of what happened at Pearl Harbor. Very similar in the way Americans came together, the way Americans grieved, and the Americans all got together for a change. They couldn't get together before it, and 14 years later, they sure can't get together for anything. But back then, for a while, we were all Americans, and patriotic Americans.
Can you explain the significance of this specific date and event for you?
Hits close to home because it's a wedding anniversary, and all of my wedding anniversary plans changed on that date, but I was more focused as well as everybody else on the events that were the terrible events that were happening. I'm trying to digest it because we were told that day we lost 50,000 people. Makes 3,000 look kind of good, but 3,000 is bad.
Okay, last question. Finally, it is said that every American citizen has a dream, be it wealth, happiness, a better life for their children, etc. What was your dream, and do you think that you have achieved it?
I have not lived on dreams or fantasies, but in the simple course of things where you start in grammar school, work through high school, work beyond that, try to do something with your education, do or don't, or get on with your life and be productive. My dream has always been to have the opportunity to have a good family, an opportunity to have employment to support that family. My fight through my whole life was to have income to support that family. I fought longer and harder than many people have ever had to endure that I can relate to.
All right. Thank you.
Now I got a question for you.
What?
Why are you asking all these questions?
So I can get credit for my assignment?
Oh, you're going to get a